Hello everyone, this is David. Tonight's movie that we watched was Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, or Megaguirus. I'm not entirely certain on the exact pronunciation, but there it is. So, this is the second installment of the Millennium franchise, and the second time we've had a new monster. Although it's not exactly a new monster. Megaguirus itself is, but Megaguirus is spawned from Meganulon. And if we remember, the Meganulon was the creature that was seen in Rodan, that Rodan feeded upon, and it murdered a bunch of people. And this is its comeback. It looks pretty different from what it used to look like. It still has like the pincers and the claws that it had, but it looks a lot better now. It actually looks like a bug and not just a silly, I don't even know, like caterpillar kind of thing. It looks kind of dopey. But they look a lot better now, and they have two forms. They have their larval form, where they kind of crawl around, and then they have their flying form, where they're kind of like a dragonfly. And then there's Megaguirus, or Megaguirus, which is basically like a giant mutant dragonfly. That has a couple interesting abilities. It can fly super fast, so it's one of those. It can absorb DNA from people or bioenergy or something along those lines. It's kind of vague as to what exactly it's consuming, but we assume it's DNA. Maybe it's its spirit energy. Again, vague. Could be either of those, just as easily. And because of this, and using it on Godzilla, it gains the ability to breathe atomic breath, which is pretty interesting. Not very often that monsters breathe atomic breath, but it happens. So let's get to the movie, because this one's a little different. Or at least it explains some things, I guess, a little differently than normal. So there's a prologue that explains that Godzilla, this is an alternate universe, and that Godzilla has attacked Japan many times throughout the years, although the previous iterations of the films don't apply. It's its own canonical history. And they actually edit in the new version of Godzilla, which is basically the same suit from Godzilla 2000, still using that one. They edit him into old footage of from like the original Godzilla and whatnot. And there's some new footage of him attacking Tokyo. Apparently he comes after nuclear power. He just loves it. And basically what ends up happening is they end up shutting down all nuclear power. They develop a new type of clean energy, but Godzilla still likes that too. So they completely devoid themselves from any of that and just use solar, wind, and water as their power sources. However, something's happening. Godzilla's on the move. So they're experimenting with this new type of weapon. That's a satellite-based weapon, which basically fires black holes. They call it Dimension Tide. And during one of the tests, they open up a gateway through a wormhole, where a Meganulon flies out, lays an egg, and flies back into the wormhole. As a boy finds it, and he brings it to Tokyo. It cracks open, starts oozing. He throws it in the sewer, and it starts eggs start coming off of it, and the eggs grow up into the Meganulon, which then turn to their dragonfly form. Meganulons, I believe, is the dragon form, or Meganulon is the baby, and Meganulon is the adult. One way or another. So that's happening. There's a lot of plot like that. They flood. I think they're in Tokyo. So they flood Tokyo. I don't know how they do that. I mean, it is a coastal city, so I guess there's that, but it's just like they flooded under like 30, 40 feet of water. And I don't know how you do that as a dragonfly. But apparently they can do it. I guess they can control water. But it's only part of the city. I don't know. Maybe that part that they flooded was just really like, it was for some reason below sea level. And then they're just like, let all the water in. I don't know. So then Godzilla appears, and they tag him with a tracking device. So they're following his movements now. And they have like this little ship. I believe it's called the Griffin, that follows Godzilla around. It's kind of interesting little thing. Not as heavily armored as the Super X's from the Hesai, but this one's kind of interesting. It's got some interesting capabilities. It can fly really fast, can hover, and whatnot. I don't think it has a lot of weapons on it, though. It's more of like a tracking and research ship, from what I remember. Well, anyway, so the Meganulons turn into Meganulon, and fly off to go confront Godzilla. Godzilla ends up on this island where they're going to try to hit him with the Dimension Tide. The Meganulons show up, or Meganulas show up. They start messing with him. He destroys most of them. Some of them get some of his blood though, and they bring it back to this big cocoon that's underwater in the flooded section of Tokyo. Meanwhile, they try Dimension Tide, kills all the Meganula, but doesn't kill Godzilla. It doesn't hit him direct on. I don't know why you would need to hit somebody direct on with a black hole, but apparently they do, and yeah. But anyway, so now Megaguirus comes out, and it goes nuts, and Godzilla comes and attacks, and they fight back and forth, and Megaguirus has the advantage for quite a while. It drains Godzilla's energy so he can't breathe atomic breath. They fight back and forth. Megaguirus is too fast for Godzilla for like a long time, and it's a brutal fight. Godzilla gets crap kicked out of him, but he gets his hits in too. He chops off one of Megaguirus's claws by like using his back spines. He also breaks its stinger off in his mouth when it tries to sting him in the head to try to kill him. And in the end, it uses atomic breath that knocks down Godzilla. Godzilla gets up and fires back with his atomic breath after the Megaguirus flies up and destroys it. And it's kind of sad because Megaguirus is only in the movie for a little while, and it's a pretty long fight, all things said and done. But in the end, like, there's only one battle. Although, if you count all the stuff that the Meganula and the Meganulons are doing, I guess that counts. Like if you add it all up for monster action. But the main antagonist monster, the one that's main build, is only in this movie for probably about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, and that's kind of unfortunate. It's better if the monster's in most of the movie, at the very least. Certainly if he's got top billing. But you know, what are you gonna do? This was a different one because Godzilla doesn't usually fight a swarm of things, so that was kind of cool. And the humans trying to get more inventive ways of taking him out. But anyway, so he takes down Megaguirus, blows him up, or blows her up, I guess. So she's dead, and then he keeps attacking. They end up locking onto him again, like with the what's it called? Dimension Tide, and they can't lock on. The pilot of the Griffin is like, lock onto my thing, and they lock on, and she ejects, and they hit it with a black hole, dead bang, and it gets him, and he's gone. There's just a smoking crater. But as we all know, Godzilla doesn't die easy, and it goes to like I guess like maybe the next day, and the characters are talking about how they come in to get this guy the same way they did at the beginning of the movie, and they're like, yeah, we need you to come in to help track Godzilla, or track some unusual seismic activity. He's like, I don't deal with lizards anymore. They're like, oh really? And she like hits his arm, and he's like, oh, that hurt. Stop doing that. And then he basically goes off to help her track down Godzilla again. Meanwhile, there's a after credit sequence that cuts back to the little boy who took the egg, and there's an earthquake, and you hear Godzilla's roar again. So, maybe Godzilla's not quite gone. We don't get to find out, however, because the next movie is, again, in tradition with the Millennium series, independent of the other Millennium series movies. So it's going to be a whole new and different Godzilla this time, just like this time was a different Godzilla. Although, more different than the Godzilla from, what is it? Godzilla 2000 Godzilla versus Megaguirus, they use the same suit. Next time, we're going to get a very different Godzilla, and he is pretty mean and pretty bad. And we'll go into him when we talk about him. But anyway, so next time it is Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, All Monsters Attack, or I believe that's the title. It's a long one. It's a long title. But it's a pretty good one. So next time, tune in for that. But for now, good night, folks.